The Rich Businessman. In the town of Agra, there lived a rich businessman. But he was also a miser. People used to come outside his house every day for some kind of gifts, but they always had to return home disappointed. He used to give them false promises and then never keep his promise. Then one day, a poet named Raidas arrived at his house and said that he wanted to read his poems to the rich man. As the rich man liked poetry, he welcomed him in. Raidas started to recite all his poems one by one. The rich man was very happy, and especially when he heard the poem that Raidas wrote on him, because Raidas compared him with Kubera, the god of wealth. In those days, it was a custom for rich men and kings to show their appreciation through a reward or a gift, because that was the only way of earning that a poor poet had. So the rich man promised Raidas some gifts and asked him to come and collect them the next day. Raidas was happy. The next morning, when he arrived at the house, the rich man pretended that he never saw him before. When Raidas reminded him of his promise, he said that although Raidas was a good poet, he understood very little of human nature. Raidas was very upset, but as there was nothing he could do, he quietly left the house. On his way home, he saw Birbal riding a horse. So he stopped him and asked for his help after narrating the whole incident. Birbal took him to his own house. After some time, he asked Raidas to go to a friend's house with 5 gold coins and request the friend to plan a dinner on the coming full moon night, where the rich man would also be invited. Birbal then asked Raidas to relax and leave the rest to him. Raidas had one friend whose name was Mayadas. So he went up to him and told him the plan. The next day, Mayadas went to the rich man's house and invited him for dinner. The dinner was planned for the coming full moon night. He said that he wanted to serve his guests in vessels of gold, which the guests would get to take home after the meal. The rich man was thrilled to hear this and accepted. After sunset on the full moon night, the rich man arrived at Mayadas's house and was surprised to see no other guests there but Raidas. Anyhow, they welcomed him in and started a conversation. The rich man had come on an empty stomach and so was getting hungrier by the minute. Raidas and Mayadas were quite full as they ate just before the rich man came. Finally, at midnight, the rich man could not stop his hunger and asked Mayadas to serve the food. Mayadas was very surprised and he asked him what food was he talking about. The rich man reminded him that he was invited for dinner. At this point, Raidas asked him for proof of the invitation. The rich man had no answer. Then Mayadas told him that he just invited him to please him. At that point, Birbal walked into the room and reminded the rich man of the same behavior that he showed to Raidas. The rich man realized his mistake and begged for forgiveness. He said that Raidas was a good poet. He took out the necklace that he was wearing and gifted it to Raidas. Then they all sat down to eat a happy meal. Raidas was all praise for Birbal and thanked him. Emperor Akbar also invited him to his court and honored him, all thanks to Birbal. Birbal really was a very wise man.